Hey yo, what's going on guys? And we are covering, I believe, the finale of Volume 2 of Void Rivals. And this issue is pretty laid back, if I'm being honest, when it comes to being a finale issue. So this volume picks up on the events after issue 11, where we saw Zalek talking to Minister Dunlin, basically saying his efforts to stop Darak and Solia have been for nothing and that they ended up escaping, and is saying that it's up to Dunlin to stop them now. And we see Dunlin say that it alarms him to see Zalek's stature so low, and Zalek thinks Dunlin is gloating, but that really isn't what's happening here. It's more of as if Dunlin is saying that once again the Gorians will have to clean up a Zeratonian's mess, and it's a little bit of a back and forth between these two talking about what their next plan is, but they do eventually end their meeting and go on with what Minister Dunlin is planning, which we don't know yet. We then pick back up with Proximus with this little boy, and he asks Proximus if he is dead or not, and this is the same little boy who was with the Resistance back a couple of issues. I think it was maybe volume 1 where we saw the Resistance, that was trying to help, Darak and Solia break out, and like he kind of sold the Resistance out because they told him that, he'd be able to find his mom. So what they ended up doing, because the Zeratonians are just a bunch of dicks, they just literally threw this little boy into, the army, and now he's a cadet and he's really scared. But we see Proximus and this little boy kind of have like this nice little wholesome moment where they're talking with each other. And, Proximus is kind of like comforting this little boy. And so they just, have like a little, nice back and forth. They kind of sit together, hide. So like, they wouldn't hear the little boy crying. It's just a cool little moment. I didn't know Proximus had a soft side, if I'm being honest, because he just seems like a murderous cyborg. And then we move to Soia and Darak. And if you guys remember what happened after they managed to escape, or more so make the Zeratonian army retreat, Solia tells Darak that she's going to split up and go off on her own to finding Zerta Trion, and that she must do this alone. But Darak wants to go anyways, and they kind of have this back and forth about it. And eventually Darak is like, yeah, I get it, you're right, only Solia can go. But Solia tells Darak that his people, the Gorians, must be prepared for what's to come once she finds Zerta, and that the time of unity is drawing near. And Solia reassures Darak that he will be fine on his own because, he'll have Springer, so he won't be totally alone. But then Darak says, no, he won't. And even Handroid, jumps in, which is just kind of messed up. Like, Handroid says, nah, he won't be fine on his own. Like, come on, Handroid. But we switch to Skuxxoid on Monacus. And if you guys remember last issue, we saw Skuxxoid talking to Bosch on Monacus, trying to figure out a deal. And we just kind of have Skuxxoid running away on Monacus, being chased by this, car and some bikes. And at first I thought, this yellow car was actually DevCon, because I think I talked about it last Void Rivals video, like how cool it would be to see DevCon and, a smoke screen. But then I remembered DevCon's blue, not yellow, so it would just, that wouldn't make any sense, and it would, be kind of a wasted, cameo slot anyways, because of what we're about to see. But we see Skuxxoid on the run, and Skuxxoid just kind of makes like quick work of these guys. Like, he's running away, but like he just quickly like turns around, shoots this hover bike, which then the hover bike crashes, and then it leads to the yellow car kind of crashing because of the explosion. And yeah, I think we gotta give Skuxxoid some more props, man. It seems like he's a lot more capable than we thought, or at least I thought, because I'm always clowning on him, but he does seem really capable. And it is a good thing that the yellow car isn't DevCon, because we see on the next page here that we see this person crawl out of the yellow car that crashed, and Skuxxoid gets away, and we see this guy, and it's actually Lord Gaikon from the same Monacus episode of G1. I believe it was like the Gambler episode, same episode we were talking about in the last Void Rivals episode. So it's really cool that they are doubling down when it comes to like the G1 space cameos. Like, now we have Lord Gaikon. I don't think he's going to be really all that useful in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Void Rivals and what, Robert Kirkman's planning. But it's just cool to see, like, yeah, Lord Gaikon's in, a guy that was, in for a couple scenes, for that episode. So it's just pretty cool. But we see Lord Gaikon basically threatening Skuxxoid, saying, if you ever step foot in Monacus ever again, as long as I draw breath, it will be your end. So swears Lord Gaikon. And we actually see him like say, like, don't tell anyone what happened here, all right? Because, Skuxxoid cooked him. But we see on the next page, we see Skuxxoid really just say that, okay, whatever you are, you better be worth it. And he kind of just like stands there and he starts to get upset, and he says, oh, who am I kidding? What's it all for? So like we see our sad Skuxxoid kind of guy again, because remember like a couple issues back we saw him like walking saying like, honey, I'm home, and no one's there. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're trying to make us feel sympathy for our favorite bounty hunter. But the next page we see Darak and Solia and Springer getting ready to split up, and we have them saying their goodbyes. And Solia is telling Darak to not forget that he has the data pad for his people, which then we also see Darak give Solia Handroid, which is really cool, and it just shows how far their friendship has gone since the start of the series. And we also see Handjoid at first not really being okay, but then, you know, it's fine to go with Solia. But we see Solia tell Darak that he reminds her of her brother, which then Darak says, thanks, but Solia tells him, no, that is not a good thing, and that I don't want you to end up as he did. And we see Solia tell Darak to take care of himself. Which then we see both of the gems on their foreheads start to glow, which I think it means it's the start to show the start of the Unity, aka the awakening of Zerta Trion, because the next page we see the Sacred Ring and another planet which then has green eyes and starts to glow, which I think is Zerta Trion herself. I don't know if it's really like anything with the Quintessence. It could be, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure this is what we see when it comes to Zerta Trion and who she is. And a part of me is like been kind of like asking this question ever since I read this too, considering how laid back it is. What if we're being kind of duped here? What if the Unity is actually the opposite? Now, I really doubt it because of how much they've been like hammering down Zerta Trion and, you know, how the Quintessence hate her. But what if Zerta Trion is actually someone who's not good? And there's a reason why she kind of drifted off away when it comes to the Cybertronians. I don't really know. But it would be really cool and a cool like plot twist if they were to go that direction. Like, it turns out Zerta Trion's actually one of like the antagonists of the series now, but I don't know. It does seem like when you compare Void Rivals to Transformers, it definitely does seem like Void Rivals is a lot more shorter to read and kind of digest when it comes to Transformers, because there's just so much more going on. But it would have been really cool to see like kind of a cool ending. I guess the ending is cool for this volume, but like something more kind of like plot twisty. So that's why I brought up the whole thing with Zerta Trion maybe being the antagonist. But all right, I'm just gonna like interrupt this video right here because I reread this issue after editing the video, and I was told to reread the last couple of pages, and that the character who I was saying in this video isn't actually Zerta Trion and could actually be Unicron. And I know that sounds crazy, but when you take a look at the silhouette of this planet, you see like kind of Unicron silhouette with the horns. And you also see the green eyes, Unicron. I don't know how I missed that, man. I thought it was Zerta Trion. I mean, it still could be Zerta Trion for all we know, and it could be like a different twist, but it clearly looks like Unicron in the silhouette and the horns and the green eyes. So now I'm like really excited for this issue. So everything that I said, you know, this being laid back, yeah, that ending's pretty nuts, dude. I can't wait for volume 3. All right. I'm just gonna go ahead and go back to the normal video now where you guys are talking to pass me. Really cool, and that's honestly how this issue ends. I'm not kidding. When it comes to this being like a finale of like a volume, this was pretty laid back when it comes to, you know, being the finale. But I would love to know you guys' thoughts. I am quite upset that no Hot Rod this issue, because we saw the Quintessence start to chase after Hot Rod in his ship. So I guess that's going to be mainly a plot point for Volume 3, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts on the finale of Volume 2. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, later.